Dobro jutro. Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear visitors of our capital. Welcome in our program Ljubljana for you. In this program, we locals, we would like to present to you Ljubljana in its best, so that you would feel really very cozy and comfortable. We would like to spend some time with us, local guides, but not just guides, sometimes just with ordinary locals. And that's why tonight we invite you to visit locals in Zifferblatt. This is a kind of a living room coffee shop where you are going to meet with local inhabitants here from Ljubljana, who also of course speak English language, and you will share some experience with them. Most probably that will be quite a challenge for your Slovenian language as well. On the other hand, we have quite a lot of other cultural events. And this is also one of the reasons why I invited today in our program Alexander from Ljubljana's castle or Ljubljanski grad. Dobro jutro, Alexander.
Dobro jutro, good morning to you.
Kako si?
V redu, I'm doing good.
Yeah. So, v redu, I'm doing good. Thank you very much, Alexander, for sharing these few Slovenian words with us, because we are learning Slovenian language as well. Alexander, we mentioned already that, let's say, quite an easy-going event in Zifferblatt, but you in Ljubljanski grad, you are more active. You have more music events. What's going on tonight?
Yeah, tonight we actually have a rock and band, very famous Slovenian, I'm gonna call them rock band, performing. They have a midnight concert. The tickets are still available, and they're kind of celebrating their, I think that it's 20th anniversary of their album, most famous album. So it's gonna be a very fun night at the castle tonight.
So that's midnight. How can we reach Casa at midnight time?
Oh, the funicular will be operating for all the visitors who want to attend the concert.
That's very pleasant. On the other hand, you can also walk, but today is a bit muddy, so it's maybe not the best
we would all
suggestion.
recommend going up with the funicular. It's going to be a much more pleasant time going up.
The cabin takes 30 people, so it's better that we start early.
It takes 30 people, and it takes a minute to reach the top of the castle hill, and it goes every 10 minutes, or if need be, it's even more often. So yeah, all the visitors can come up on time. Yeah.
Alexander, you're also my colleague, a guide, tourist guide. You're a specialist for Ljubljanski grad, Ljubljana's castle. Lately, Ljubljana's castle got a lot of content, so visits at the castle can take quite a few time. Namely, when we do the tour in the city center, we usually just take a funicular to the top of the castle. Maybe we visit the terrace. Sometimes we go to the viewing tower, maybe a virtual museum. If we stay longer, maybe also exhibition, but that's all. Castle offers much more. So what's going on?
It actually does. I mean, when it comes to terms of visiting the castle, you have quite a few options of visiting, actually. You can visit on your own. You can visit with the help of the audio guides in, I think, at least in 12 languages, in some cases also in 14 different languages.
Okay.
You can attend one of the two guided tours. We have the Time Machine guided tour, we have Behind Bars guided tour, and currently we also offer Escape Castle, which is a form of escape room, so a more adventurous way to getting to know the castle.
Yeah, actually yesterday we had a guest from Escape Room, Mein Maze, from Trubal Street. So the second chance, if we are challenged or we would like to be challenged, is then the castle as well.
Oh yeah, and you can also do it both, because you're actually escaping the castle, not only one room, so the whole concept is a bit different, so you'll be able to enjoy both escaping the rooms and escaping the castle.
But the other one, Behind the Bars, that also doesn't sound quite an easy tour.
Well, it's a very fun tour if you're interested in torture and medieval punitive practices. But it's a very, all kidding aside, it's a very informative tour. But it specializes in a particular part of the castle's history, and that is punishment, and those are punitive practices, also torture and witchcrafts and so on. But it's a very informative tour, but yeah, very specialized.
So which part of the history does it touch, from the Napoleon's time on, or already earlier?
Earlier, from medieval ages onwards, yeah.
Okay. Oh yes, of course, because you said about torturing. What about time machine? That sounds attractive.
Oh, Time Machine is pretty much, I dare say, it's our most popular product, our most popular guided tour, because visitors, along with our guides, they are able to experience the history of the castle.
Yes.
Plus, they make 6 different stops on 6 different so-called time stations, where they meet 6 different people who are either important for the development of the castle or for the preservation of the castle as we have it today.
Yeah. So that means that the guides wear costumes.
The guys
Or-
not, but the animators, the actors, they wear pretty much authentic costumes from that period. So, for example, the first stop is 2,000 years in the past, where you meet Roman soldier and one of the Roman priestesses, and it's it's as authentic as it can be.
Okay. Yes, because Ljubljana Castle has a very unique position. It's situated 70 meters above the level of the river. So from the top, you can really control all the area around,
Exactly.
south, east, west, north, where the enemy comes from. That's the
Exactly.
most important. We can now even see how beautiful this green island is. And really on the top, we have the fort, which you mentioned was a kind of a fort already in Roman times or already earlier. What do you think? What do you explain?
Well, the Romans had a settlement up there, pretty much an army outpost.
Okay.
So the hill was, since pretty much ancient times, it was always very important from the strategic point of view. But later on in the 15th century, when we got the castle, its role as a strategic role was really more important, especially with the newly built castle at the
Yes,
time.
yes. This southern part that we can see on our left-hand side now, this is actually from Spanheim period, no? Is it from the...
Some of the remains can also be seen from the Spanheim period, and that is from the 13th century. We have remains of one of the towers on the inside of the castle walls. So yeah, also the remains can be visible
Yes, yes.
as well.
The most of the castle is from 15th century,
Exactly.
yes, because they needed really a very good protection on the
Exactly.
top of the hill. But the tower looks very new.
Yeah, the tower looks very new because this is the second tower that this castle had. It's from the, I would say, it's from the second half of the 19th century.
Right.
It's been renovated, of course, but yeah, it's a bit newer than the first one, which was built in the 16th century.
I like the staircase very much because it's a dual spiral part.
And plus, the best part is it's a dual system, so there isn't any traffic pretty
Yes.
much, and yeah,
That's
so
what I like the most. And then those little castles on the dragons on the steps. And from the top, of course, we have beautiful view of Ljubljana. So I would say that if you don't have problems with walking, definitely hit the road and reach the highest point, because from there you're going to see really how beautiful Ljubljana's plateau is. And on the top, there is also Ljubljana's flag, no?
of course.
Yeah. In the tower is another activity which I like very much, and that is virtual museum or a virtual or a film. How would you call that?
Well, we call it either virtual museum or virtual castle, and it's a 12-minute long projection about the history of the castle. So, and it could be helpful even if you, for example, attend the guided tour, and later if you visit the film, you can, if you're more of a visual type of a person, you can get the images you needed before, and it's in 14 different languages. So
I think you should mention few of the really unusual languages, because for the visitors who don't speak, let's say, English as a native language, or German, or I don't know, Italian, Spanish, you have film even in Korean
language, yeah, we have in Chinese, in Japanese, so
in Portuguese, in Dutch language. So I think this is really excellent, because in 12 minutes you can actually hear the history in your language.
Yes,
no?
exactly.
Next, in the castle, or actually in the tower, in the lower part, there is also a very cute chapel.
Oh yeah, the Chapel of St. George, and this is the oldest building within the castle walls. It dates back to the 15th century. Of course, throughout the centuries, it's been changed quite a few times, but it is the oldest building, and it's in a way it's a specialty here, not only in Ljubljana but in the surrounding area, because of what's inside on the walls.
Yes. Namely, the chapel was built in Gothic style. And later on, I think 200 years later, were painted frescoes on the ceiling, which are very impressive. They were restored just a year and a half ago, something like that. and there are lots of coats of arms of the
Exactly.
families that lived here, so that's definitely worth visiting. What about the jail cells?
Oh, the jail cells, well, you have quite a few of them, but the most noticeable are the ones at the entrance to the tower, and those are the remains of the prison phase, of penitentiary phase, which at the castle lasted for approximately 100 years, from 1815 till the end of the First World War, and those are the only visible remains of the prison phase, although the whole building, the whole castle was used as a giant prison.
I think that you will be even surprised that there are written some Italian names, because there were prisoners of war, not from the First World War.
Exactly, and not only them. For example, locals are usually surprised when they see the name of one of the most famous Slovenian authors, writers, Ivan Cankar. He was also locked inside, and also some of the Italian writers were also locked inside as political traitors at the time.
That was a different situation in those days. Next to the tower is a very interesting and modern exhibition of Slovenian history, and I think this is also a kind of a must for every visitor.
It is. It's a three-story building, and you can really get the grasp of our country's history in let's say a very concise visit. So you start in prehistory, go to the Roman times, and continue all the way to Yugoslavia, and pretty much all the way to the modern day.
To the modern day. Also the Independence War and this independence period of Slovenia since 1991. Now we can see also on our screen, at the end there is a sculpture of Jakov Brder.
Yeah, you can also see his sculptures in the city.
In the city, and then is a link with a castle on the top of the hill. So these kind of things, I think this content really is inviting for us all. I mean, if they are with us on the city tour, of course, we always suggest them to pop to the top of the hill. However, my idea is that we in the morning stay in the city, and then in the afternoon they spend the whole time just in your area.
Yeah.
And as you said, time machine, at what time does it run, or do we have to call ahead?
You can for a private tour you can book a tour in advance, but usually it's during weekends. At least now in December. I think that the time machine is at 11 a.m. and then behind bars it's at 3 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday.
And Saturday. Yes, but just in case if you miss this part, there are always audio guides.
Always audio guides. Always you have the chance of doing the escape castle. Always the chance of visiting the castle on your own, because, for example, besides the Slovenian history and virtual museum, we also have the puppetry museum.
Oh yeah.
So even if you have kids with you, if you're traveling with family, it's going to be a great time to stay in the...
But definitely the best is to rent guides from the castle, because then lots of stories can be shared with you, stories behind the scene, and sometimes they make the whole presentation of the castle even more juicy. So
well,
I would say
we hope so.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being with us today. We all wish you a very pleasant day in Ljubljana and see you tomorrow morning. Na svidenje. Hvala.